Okay, so we're going to do a garden tour, or porch garden tour, I should say. I'm going to go over all the plants that I have, let you see them all. And I'm not sure about the harvest time for most of them, but we'll just go over what I have. So when you walk up on a porch, you have, and I can't for the life of me think of the name of these flowers, but like I say in almost every video, when I got them, they were in small cups about this big at Lowe's on a clearance rack for $1, and it was like one of these flowers in each of those buckets. And I'm like, why did they put them on clearance? I know they're gonna grow. Everything I buy that's like pushed to the side or neglected, I'll buy them and bring them home, and they grow like no other. So I'm not sure why they even do that. But hey, that's their loss and my gain, because now I got a big old pot of beautiful flowers that sit on my porch. The pot is pretty big. Stuck a little tortoise in there for decoration. It's an old pot I had last year at our old house. I had some type of flowers in there. But either way, look how pretty they are. And when I tell you I bought 4 containers. I put 2 in here. I put 1 in our hanging basket plant, and then I put another one in the hanging basket plant. And just look at them, they're just flourishing. I'll come out and pick the dead ones off like this. You know, trim it up a little bit, make it look nice. Just pull them right on off. It lets the other ones know to go ahead and keep on growing. Just give it a little trim every now and again, but they're beautiful. I love them, and they just sit there and hang on the house like that. Then our other one looks like this. I guess because they're up against the wall, some of them don't want to push out, but it's on this thing and it swings. So every now and again when I do water them, I'll move them and put them on the ground. Some pine straw up in here, but they are just so beautiful. Alright, so enough with the flowers. We will show you next by the door are my red begonias. And I moved them from out of the corner. I did a little rearranging, but I moved them out of the corner. They're doing really well. They're beautiful. Look at that. I got my little flamingo in there. When I was little, my mom always kept flamingos for some reason in the yard, in the garden. So I just remember having red roses and flamingos in the front yard all the time. So I love flamingos. Here's my marigold, grew from seed. So I bought a packet of seeds, put them in a pot. I put all of them in there, and they just grew, and they flourish really good too. And then here's a couple of them coming in. 1, 2, there's one here. And the good thing about marigolds, a lot of people don't know, they are a mosquito and other insect repellent. For some reason, they don't like the scent or the smell of it, so they just don't come around it. So if you got some marigolds around your plants, your vegetables, they're not going to bother it, and they're not going to come. I'm not going to say they're not going to bother it, but you won't have as many because of the marigolds. All right. Then in here we have a tomato. My son Troy planted that. It's just in an old spaghetti jar. We're hoping it's going to grow because it got some green sludge, but for some reason, that's what happens in a jar because you don't have no drainage. But it still managed to grow. I'm not going to get rid of it because he'll cry. Next we have the cayenne pepper, moved from the backyard porch, and I put it on the front porch. When I bought this, it was probably like that big, just a seedling from the store, local grocery store. And already, let's see, try to focus in. Already we have some budding. Ooh, come on phone, focus, focus. Well, it doesn't want to focus. Ooh, look at that bug over there. It doesn't want to focus, but those are it. It is budding. Those are cayenne peppers. Next to the cayennes, we have tomatoes. Again, these ones are really big. I got 3 in a pot. 1, 2, 3. And they're about maybe a little over a foot tall right now. But they're going to do fine because I'm just going to let them go ahead and hang over the railing. I don't have to buy a tomato cage or tie them up or anything like that. Alright, so that's tomatoes. Next to the tomatoes, we have green bell pepper. And if you follow me and remember, I already had clipped my big green bell pepper. and we used it in the chicken. We ate it. It was so good. It was fresh. It didn't taste funny. It just tasted fresh, like a good fresh pepper. But they are blooming since I cut that one. And that's what I've always been told. My fiance said it too. He said once you cut something up off of there, it's going to keep growing back, because it doesn't know what to do but grow back. So let's get this out of there, whatever that is. Those are green bell peppers. Then over here, my baby, we have shishito peppers. Let you see the tag. That's what they're supposed to look like. And look how big it's gotten. I had to find a stick in the yard to stick in there because it's so tall. When the wind blows, it was swaying side to side. I didn't want it to knock it over. So I put some support in there and then just take the little branch and wrap it around it so it knows, hey, grow up. I got support. But it's so big and it's beautiful. And the best part about it is we have a pepper that came in early last week. This one's about, let's see, about this much to my finger. So that big. There's another one coming in beside it. There's one here. And then there's also one right here coming in. And then the rest of the flowers, you already know what's going to happen. There's one here too. They're going to turn into peppers. So I'm going to have a bunch of shishito peppers. And I'm going to mail some to my dad and my mom in New Jersey. Let my sister do something with them and cook them up for them. It's real healthy. And remember him? The romaine lettuce we clipped the other day? I wasn't sure if I was supposed to clip this stalk. I didn't think I was supposed to, but now I'm thinking I should have, because now all the lettuce is growing up here. And I don't know what I'm going to do if I have a bunch of lettuce sitting there on top of this stalk. So I want to do some research and make sure I'm not supposed to cut this. And if I'm not, I'm just going to leave it alone. But it's still growing back that fast since I cut it. And I'm talking about really fast. If you remember my video, I only had these 2 leaves left. So that quick. About 2-3 days ago. And then we have spring onion, or green onion they like to call them. They're doing okay. A couple of them went yellow like that. I think it's the water, not too sure, but they're not doing bad. If you could tell, they're about, let's see, almost as tall as my hand. That big so far. Those came from seed as well, so I'm glad they grew. And we just got to give them some time. They got to get really thick and tall, and then you can chop them. As soon as you chop them, they're just going to continuously grow just like the lettuce. So let's back up. This is the front porch. Let's see what we got. So remember, we have our flowers hanging in the pot on each side. We have begonias, marigolds, cayenne pepper, tomatoes, green bell pepper, shishito peppers, romaine lettuce, some more flowers, tomato plant in the corner, and some green onion. And then now I'm going to go ahead and walk to the backyard, and we'll do the backyard porch. I guess I'll leave you guys on here. So we live out in the country out here in Georgia. We don't have the best house in the world. It's a double wide, but it's just temporary until we can get some good credit scores to be a homeowner so we can buy some acreage, because we definitely want to get at least 3 acres. So back here on the back porch, and this is where I'm at all day, every day, if you can't tell. I love my porch back here. Like I said, we're not rich. It's not fabulous, but my plants make it everything for me. I wake up every morning just to rush out here and see a new flower on my morning glories right there in the corner, or just to see them getting big. And I watched all of these things grow just like babies. So starting on the step, because I don't have any room left on my porch, we have our radishes. And if y'all remember, those are my radishes. I got 2 pots of those. They done got so big, and they're almost ready. I think they got another week and a half, and then they're going to be ready to harvest. But I'll know because the leaves will be way up here. Next, we have an onion from scrap. And what I mean by scrap is I went ahead and took I want to say this is Vidalia. I don't want to say it's yellow, but I took a Vidalia onion, cut the bottom off when I was, whatever I was cooking. The root part where all the little, look like legs and stuff is hanging out. That's what you want. And it doesn't have to be a real thick piece of onion, just real thin. Thin enough just to have the roots. That's all you need. You take it and you put it in a little dish of water, not to cover the whole onion, but just enough to cover the roots. In 2-3 days, you're gonna have roots. I put one in there yesterday and it already got roots sprouting out. So I like to wait like 3 days and then go ahead and take it out and put it in some soil. So this may be a Vidalia. If it's not a Vidalia, it's a sweet onion, sweet yellow onion. So that's how tall that one is. So when we do an update, it looks like my hand. When we do an update, just remember how big it got. Next up, this is a survivor plant. I had accidentally planted a butternut squash seed in my, which plant was it? My cayenne pepper plant by accident. Because what I did was I planted these butternut squashes in that pot where my cayenne peppers are. And before I had bought it. And I said, these aren't growing, they're not sprouting. So I just took the dirt, moved it around. Sorry, it was a bee. Moved it around, and then I bought a pepper plant and stuck it in there. And then all of a sudden, these just popped up. So I took it out of there while I was young, put it in its own pot, and now look at it. And when I did that, it was like this big. And I said, oh my gosh, it's probably not gonna make it, but I have faith in my plants and they know I love them, so they grow. So that is a butternut squash, and if you don't know what they are, look them up. They're the ones that are long and kind of orangey looking, like Veggie Tales. Alright, so that's the radish, the onion, butternut squash, more radishes. And what I'm going to do with those radishes, I'm going to slice them up, saute them with some onions and peppers and stuff, and just eat them. Here's some basil. Look how fat the basil leaves done got. If you saw my last video or picture, you remember they were like that big. And just as big as the little center. But now they're so huge and they smell so fragrant. They are so good. Ooh, I love basil. So basil's doing really well. And let's put my finger so we know where we're at. They look like that. Most of them. There's some underneath the other ones too. Alright, so from the porch steps, when we come up in the corner, we have morning glories. Morning glories are beautiful. It's my first time sowing them in some soil and growing them. Here's one that's going to bloom tomorrow morning. When I come out, I'll see that one bloom. They are beautiful, and it's like exciting because like every morning, usually every morning there's a bloom. Today there wasn't, but yesterday's was pretty because it bloomed 2 days in a row. So 2 days ago there was a purple one over here that I posted, and then yesterday there was a pretty blue one down up in here. So tomorrow I know to look out for this one right there. So there was a morning glories, and they took their little tendrils and wrapped around, so there's no moving that plant. It's got to stay there. Here is Mr. Eggplant. Probably like, what is that contraption on it? So I brought the eggplant in the backyard. I brought it back here for 2 reasons. Number one, the sun in the front yard, I'm not sure if it's facing the east or the west. It might be the east in the morning, but it's like really powerful, and that's why I want all my peppers out front. And eggplants love sun, yes they do, but every day I come out there and look at it, the leaves are like laying flat because they're thirsty, they're hot. And the morning glories do that too. When it gets really, really hot, your leaves will just curl up, or they'll lay down like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, I'm hot, feed me some water. So I brought them back here just to give them a little bit less sunlight than they had in the front yard. And then the second reason is because the ants, and you're probably like, what is all that white powder? That is grits. Look at these jokers. You see them? Having a good old time, having a party. We never have ants like this. For some reason, they're not even touching any of my other plants. They're only going to my eggplant. Look at them. They're in there having a party, having a ball. Look at him. So I take grits, and I saw that years ago, and it works because I put some grits in an ant hole and then went back to it, and it was just like no ants. What it does, and it's so sad, but it's either my eggplant or the ants. The grits will make them blow up. Once they eat them and they drink some water, they're going to blow up, because if you know what grits do when you put them in a pot, they swell up. So they're going to get their behinds up off my eggplant, and then This is my homemade little trellis. All I did was take 2 sticks, stick them in there, and I tied them up with some old shoestring. And the only reason why I did that is because I put this eggplant in a tiny pot. And I didn't mean to plant it in such a tiny pot. When I bought it, I was so excited, and the only pots Family Dollar had was these at the time, and I couldn't go to Lowe's and whatever, so it got stuck in this pot, and I was just so happy because it was so small. And then all of a sudden, boom, here you go. You got these big old giant leaves, massive leaves, and you don't want it to topple over either, just like the peppers when the wind comes. And the fruit is going to be so heavy on eggplants, it needs something to lean on. So when they start to grow in, the whole plant won't topple over in this pot. These sticks will help it to support itself. So that's my eggplant, and just look how big these leaves are. They're beautiful and they're massive. And then we do have a budding of a flower over here. Let's see if I can get up under there. I'm not sure when it's going to open up. I thought today was going to be the day. I came out here this morning disappointed because I wanted to see this pretty purple flower. And it's going to let me know an eggplant's grown, but it'll be here soon enough. Next is cilantro in a little pot. And remember, if you follow me yesterday, I clipped some. We had tacos. We had ground turkey tacos, well, burritos, with some fresh cilantro on top. And you could tell this is the oldest stem where I clipped from. And the rest of them are brand new freshly planted, like maybe a week ago. And they all just sprouted up. So we're going to let that continue to grow. We got one little green onion in this little jar, my little garlic jar. Up here on my little table, it says, welcome to my garden. I have Greek oregano in a mason jar. This is the only herb that has not died in my mason jar. And I shouldn't skip my plants because we got more, but I just want to show y'all. I had rosemary. I had something else. Rosemary, I had sweet mint. And oh my goodness, they just did not do well in the house, in the window. So I had to bring them outside. So that's the Greek oregano, back to where we was. Here are more tomatoes, and they are so beautiful. The only scary part is I put them in a Hawaiian punch jug. I did put some drainage holes, but I didn't put enough. It's not green like the tomato plant out front in that jar, but it's kind of, and I'm just watching over it. It does have compost in there, that could be why. But those are the tomato plants, and there's 3 in there as well. So if everything goes accordingly, I'll have 7 tomato plants. And they are really tall. Here's my arm to see how tall they are. Okay. Next, after the tomato plant, we have English thyme. This is my baby. It grows very well. I put them in his detox drinks, and he drinks them. I put them in chicken. I even fried up a steak the other day. We had steak, and I put the thyme and the butter and the garlic, like how they do rosemary. Well, I did the thyme, and oh my goodness, it was so fragrant. It tasted so good. But as soon as I clip these, they grow right back. Okay, so next we have zucchini in the pot. And it's doing good. I know I shouldn't have put it in this pot either. It's a big one, bigger than what we have. Maybe like a 2-gallon pot. But I put 3 plants in there, not thinking that they might grow. You know how you plant something and you're like, all right, well, let me put an extra seed or 2 just in case it doesn't sprout. Because that does happen, but these ones grew and they're starting to bud. As you can see, there's a male plant. I saw a female one. See if I can show y'all, sorry. I saw a female one somewhere. Well, anywho, wherever it's at, it's in there. So you know you got male and female from these little things like this. And that's what produces the flowers and produces zucchinis. And it's just pretty. It's pretty to look at. And it's about, yeah, they're about that tall. Okay, so that's zucchini. And then we have more begonias. And you're probably like, why are the begonias on the back porch way bigger than the ones on the front porch? And the front porch gets more sun. I don't know. I can't answer that. I just know I planted 2 each in each pot, just like these. These are the brilliant blooms. begonias. So, I don't know. I'm not sure why these are so huge and the ones on the front porch aren't. But this is how big they are. It takes up the whole corner right here of my porch. And they look just like the ones out front, except for these are pink. And they're beautiful. And I see the bees in them all the time, helping pollinate. Love the bees. And then we have some spring onion up here. I put these two in a little used pot I had. These ones I kind of neglected and forgot to water them a lot, like the rest of the plants. But they're doing better than the ones in the front yard. If you remember, the front yard had yellow. These don't have any yellow on them at all. So they're doing really well. I think they're going to turn out nice. And then we have a few over here. Now they're in the old Juicy Juice bottle. And like I said, if the drainage isn't good, they're probably not going to do well. I don't even think I put any holes in that one. That's why. But you can tell it's got some green sludge. I'm just going to leave them alone because to me they're growing. I'm just going to leave them alone. If they grow, they grow. I know this part is not going to kill us. Not compared to the pesticides and stuff they're spraying on this other food. But that's the back porch, everybody. Begonias, zucchinis, tomatoes, thyme, Greek oregano, green spring onion, cilantro, eggplant, morning glories, basil, radishes, butternut squash, onions, and more radishes. And that's it. So if you like my video, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell for your notifications. I'll give you guys updates on all my plants as soon as they do what they do. As soon as they get bigger, taller, and start sprouting and flowering, I'll be sure to let you guys know first. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.